It's mid-July, my roses are dropping their leaves, I've got Japanese beetles, they look awful. I should be freaking out, but I'm not. Midsummer grooming time. I'm just gonna wander through and just gonna start bringing them down some. You've probably heard or been taught that your roses should look good all during the year. Well, that's not the case. No matter where you garden, you're gonna have some point in the summer where it's gonna be really hot and in our case humid for 4 to 5 weeks. Roses almost go semi-dormant. And this year we've had a lot of rain and an awful lot of cloud cover. I've dropped more foliage. I've even got a little bit more black spot than I normally see. And I've got Japanese beetles. So what am I gonna do about this? I'm gonna take advantage of this, trim away all that damaged and dropped growth, and I'm gonna groom my roses. And what I'm actually doing now is not so much trying to get bloom now, I'm setting them up for fall. That's what this is all about, is getting ready for that great fall bloom. Let's talk about Japanese beetles for a second. First of all, don't spray them with chemicals. They're very poisonous. They kill pollinators, they kill butterflies, they kill bees, all the things that we really need in the garden. Instead, what I try to do is work with them. When they show up, I go ahead and groom my roses with them. They're grooming, I'm grooming, we're a partnership, and by the time they're gone, the roses wake up again and we're ready to go. So that's how I deal with Japanese beetles. First thing I want you to do is start grooming your roses down a little bit. You can see the foliage up here, they're taller than I want to be. I'm just going to wander through and just kind of start bringing them down some, just to kind of get some shape to them. Again, this is removing all this growth that really isn't going to do me any good anymore. So if I just continue to work with this and bring all of these roses down, and I'm not necessarily looking for outward facing bud eyes, I am trying to cut above a leaflet set and try to get within 1/4 inch of that bud eye, which we've talked about in other videos. You can certainly find them there. But you can see now I'm just getting some shape. And what I've got here is growth I don't want anyway. So I've now basically removed some of that top damaged growth, brought the roses down, opened them up a little bit. It's gonna set them up for fall, kind of reinvigorate their growth and stuff like that. Second thing I want you to look for, real important right now, dead growth, weak growth. Because what happens in the spring, the roses grow really rapidly. That's when they really have that great big push. And you sometimes can't see what's going on in the middle of the rose. Now that I've opened it up, I've got a chance to really identify it. And if I go down here, for example, I've got right here a piece of dead growth, really weak growth right here. And this is the kind of thing that I basically want to make sure that I'm taking out, because this can invite all kinds of disease and all kinds of problems. So start bringing them down, take out your dead growth, and now we're going to move on to the next step. The next step in midsummer grooming is to start looking for new growth coming from the base. They're called basal breaks. And these are great to have, and they usually come in midsummer. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. This is a basal break right here. Fresh young growth. It's like a high school sprinter just waiting to take off. I'm gonna get great flowers on this. It's gonna look like this in a few years, lots of energy in this cane. This is part of the cycle of the rose. This is what you wanna be looking for. I've got fresh growth, new cane coming. That means this old cane, which is now spent, has no energy, can literally come out of the rose entirely. And that's the cycle of the rose. You take out an old cane, when you've got a new cane, you keep rejuvenating the rose, not so much pruning, we've talked about this before, rejuvenating. That's how you keep your roses fresh and looking good. Just like roses have a natural rhythm, so do gardens. Here on the farm in early spring, the daffodils come up. We put in close to 1,000 bulbs over the years. It's a sea of yellow, just out of the Lake District in England. It's spectacular. Then I know in the height of spring, my roses are gonna explode into bloom and just look spectacular all spring long. Then in summer, what I've done, when the roses take their natural little bit of rest, this one I've done this. I focus on summer blooming perennials. I've got agastache in here, rudbeckia. I've also got my vegetables in here. I've got tomato plants, I've got asparagus, anything that I can basically get in this combination to keep this garden going year round. Then I know come fall, the perennials will fade a little bit, the roses burst into bloom again. I've got color all year long, and this is another great reason to make sure you've got all kinds of plants in your garden. Keep in mind the things that we talk about in this video and all the videos we do with Jackson and Perkins apply to any size garden. I realize my garden's a little large. I live in the upstate on a farm. I've got 27 acres. I'm going to use it all, you better believe it. But even if you garden in a container or a small patio, you've got a deck, you live in an apartment, you've got a balcony, any size gardening, all these rules apply. Roses and perennials all mix well together. So there's a few more things I'm going to do to wrap up this video of some great midsummer chores that you can do. First thing I want you to do is fertilize again. Remember in the fertilizing video we fertilized in the spring? Well, now's the time to go ahead and put some fertilizer back down again. Again, the Jackson Perkins product is a great product. This is what I'd recommend. This also begins to set them up for fall, so they've got all that great energy to really go and take off. We talk in the video on basically dealing with roses that sometimes they do get a little bit of disease, just like humans do, just like any plant does. Generally, you want to leave it alone, but sometimes you have to intervene. Summer's a good time to be checking because the humid conditions can sometimes bring it on. Product like this, it's neem oil basically, is a nice little thing to intervene with, kind of like you would a course of antibiotics. But again, you don't want to overdo it. You want to kind of take it easy on that. Let's take a little time to talk about watering. Your instinct probably in the summertime is to get out there with a hose like 6 times a day and be watering the roses all over the place because you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's hot, they're losing water, I'm losing water, I'm sweating already. No. Remember I talked about roses going semi-dormant in the summertime? They actually probably need a little bit less water, so just keep that in mind. Don't sit there and flood them with the hoses all the time. Here's a great little tip if you live in an area where you need to conserve water. You want to keep the water around the root zone in that area and not let it run off. It's a great little product for that. This is called a green well water saver. Basically what you do is you wrap it around the rose. It's also a great fashion accessory, by the way. And then that keeps the water when you water it down in the rose's root zone. That's important. This is a great water conservation tip. Midsummer is also a time to start thinking about fall planting. It's a great time to plant. You can begin dreaming about the garden during the hot days when you're in the afternoon. Go to the Jackson Perkins website. Start picking out your roses for fall. They've got a phenomenal 2-quart fall rose program, fresh grown for the fall. Perennials, the time to get in. And don't forget, in the fall, bulbs. Bulbs, bulbs, bulbs. That's the thing you want to be planting. So start thinking about fall planting right about now. At the same time you're planting, however, you don't want to neglect continuing to rebuild your soil as you go along. Go back to the video, Building a Living Soil Profile, and you'll see what we're talking about. So as you're planting in the fall, add products like this. This is a bag that actually expands to 30 quarts of great soil amendment. They've also got one for potting soils as well for anybody who likes to container garden. What I love about this product, look, living soil. Where have you heard that before, I bet, on a video that I may have just done. Probiotics, feeds the soil. This is a wonderful, wonderful product to be adding in to continually build that living soil profile. So midsummer is actually an opportunity in the garden. It's a great time to groom the roses, get them ready for fall. Think about those perennials that are now blooming in the summertime, that whole cycle of the garden. That's what I love. So take advantage of midsummer. Don't be afraid of it. For Jackson and Perkins, this is Paul Zimmerman, and thanks for joining us in the garden today.